Hi, I'm Julie, and welcome to Valley Viewpoint here on Blue Mountain Television. Monet, Renoir, Matisse, yes, they're all artists. And you know what? We have our own local artist here in the Walla Walla Valley, and her name is Shawna Wright, and she's here with us today. Shawna, welcome to Valley Viewpoint.
Thank you.
It's great to have you here, Shawna. So, Shawna, we have some of your art here, and maybe people are familiar with your art, maybe they're not. But that's why we're here today, to learn more about you and your art. So how did you get started painting, and when did you get started?
Well, it's a fun story, and I love to share it. 2015, my dad was sick, and he fell and hurt himself, and he had this pain disorder, and he was in a chair just in pain back in Canada. I couldn't get to him. And about the same time, simultaneously, I had been praying, asking God to give me a ministry, something to do for him. And it just kind of overlapped back and forth. So what I did is I took Bible promises and put them in a journal and scanned them and sent them to my dad every day.
Aww.
And this actually went on that was probably before 2015. Went on for a couple years. And then 2015, I painted a painting for his birthday in this journal, and I was just messing around with a child's paint in not even proper paper or anything, and I painted this bird painting with a Bible promise on it, and Dad goes, "Wow, I'm going to frame that," and I knew something special had happened, and then I just kind of got excited, and I painted 11 more and made a calendar. Dad's birthday is November the 2nd, and I made a calendar for Christmas, and I'm a yabber, and I told people about it online, and we did 92 calendars that very first year.
Wow.
And to think about that, I started in November. I start before the following year now for my calendars.
You're a little bit more prepared.
Well, they have to be ready in August now anyway, but yes.
So God has given you a gift, and here you were doing something nice for your dad. And your dad, is he okay? Is he still with us?
He's still with us. He still fights this painful disease.
I'm sorry.
God is with him and keeps him encouraged.
Good. And see how God has used your ministry now to have that ripple effect. Mm-hmm. Well, Shawna, I first met you, I think it was at the Christian bookstore in College Place, and then I also saw you at some other church functions, and you mentioned this little bird that you painted.
Yes.
And was this the first one that you painted?
Yes, that was my very first business card, and I put it on there. Yes.
Well, and I took this business card of yours, and then I also, with my favorite verse, one of my favorite verses of Joshua 1:9, be strong and courageous. And so I put this in a little frame, and then when I showed it here to you, you said, yeah, that's the first one I painted.
Yeah. You're right.
So I have this framed in our home, and I also have your magnet on our refrigerator, and I've actually put several of your magnets, and then I give them away. So I need to fill my refrigerator up again. So had you ever taken a class in painting?
No. Not at all. In fact, my kids would come to me and ask me to draw something when they were little, and I would struggle with this stick man, and they would just laugh. And no, my husband says, of all the people who were the most surprised, it was my family.
Well, and see, here God has given you a gift. So what is your medium? What do you work with?
Watercolor.
Watercolor. Okay. All right. Well, and you brought some of your pieces here. So what is this? You heard me crying from my daughter, a pocket edition.
Yes. Well, there's some of my emotion, some of my pain in there. What these are is I actually did a journal where you could read the paintings, and you could also have a space to write, and they were quite large. But the company that printed them, I can no longer get from them, and they became too costly to do. So I was with a mom who really needed encouragement. I actually handed her the last journal. In fact, I went back to the ABC and grabbed a journal from her and bought it back and gave it to her. And at that moment, she just hugged it to herself. She said, I've seen this before, but today I know you made it for me. And then she says, we got to get these out to other people. And I said, I can't print them anymore. She said, let's pray. So we stopped and we prayed right then.
Good.
And that night, I woke up in the middle of the night. I always get inspiration in the night. And I literally sat up in bed and I go, I know what I'm going to do.
God gave you an idea.
Yep. And so what I did is I took all the paintings and took out all the journaling pages and made it into a little book. And really, when I first did the journal, the letters I thought were a little too big. You know, the writing was a little too big. But when I put it to this, it's absolutely
it's perfect size.
Perfect size.
Yeah, and
it was like God had me make it for this.
So, for example, it's you heard me crying for my daughter. Do not worry about, and then there's a blank, and pray for her. Then thank Him for what He is doing in her life. Philippians 4:6.
That's right.
So it's a fill in the blank with all of your beautiful artwork.
And so I made one because I had done this in a journal for myself, for my praying for my daughter, and then I don't have a son. I have son-in-laws, but I don't have a son. So I thought, well, I have to make a son. Because you have to have the pronouns, right? So I've just adapted the verses, just, changing out pronouns.
So why the birds?
Well, the very first painting was a bird, and it just seemed to work, and I suppose I have a bit of a marketing sense to me as well. My mother is big at that. And I just felt that you need something that all goes together and is recognizable, and it just seemed to fit. So I just stuck with it.
So it is kind of your trademark, your theme of doing the birds.
I've played with a few cats and dogs once in a while as custom paintings for people, but for the ministry, it's birds.
It's birds. Well, Shawna, thank you for being here, and thank you for being here at Valley Viewpoint as we learn more about Shawna Wright and her beautiful art. Hi, I'm Julie, and welcome back to Valley Viewpoint here at Blue Mountain Television. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your prayers and your support of Blue Mountain Television. Today we have local artist Shawna Wright here in the studio with us. Shawna, welcome again here to Valley Viewpoint. So we're talking about your art, and we were talking about the ministry of how this all started. And I have one of your cards here, and it has one of my favorite scriptures, Isaiah 41:10, which I read just right before I came over here. It's underlined in my grandma's Bible. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. And you have that beautifully shared here. Jesus, the creator of all things, loves you and cares for you. So tell me, what's the inspiration of this card?
Well, actually, there was a lady in town who has a ministry giving little notes out, and she makes hats and things for the homeless and for cancer patients and that. So she came to me actually requesting me make a little card, and what's on the back, she had a good input of what would be on the back of it as well. And the one thing that I've really found with the ministry is to find the whole family of God all over the world. And all these ministries, I have people that, like I just mentioned, who make things for cancer patients. I just had a lady contact me who makes care packages to go to lonely people in nursing homes.
Lovely.
And so a whole bunch of bookmarks and cards went to there, and it's just overwhelming how many different ministries. It's exciting because I find I've always given out little cards here and there, but now I can give something to somebody, make them happy, and then they're making somebody else happy. I get double time out of it.
That's the pay it forward thing that I love. Well, and I love things like this. If I send a birthday card, I can put it in, and then they can share it.
And at the restaurant.
Exactly. Well, and the bank, I kind of like going through the drive-in thing because, you get the little deal and it has to go back. So I have put stuff back in there, and off you drive. It's a beautiful thing. Well, and that's why your little magnets, as we mentioned in the first half, are so important. But you're so right. There are so many ways out there, and I was thinking as you were mentioning these other women who have done other ministry things. My cousin in Norway, she and other women make these hygiene packets for young girls in Africa. So they're sewing all these little bags together. They're shipped over to Africa, and literally it changes these young girls' lives so they can go to school. So there's so many little things, and we don't think about it, but here God gave you this idea. So what is it for you, Shawna, when you sit down? Do you have an idea, or do you just sit down with obviously a a blank piece of paper. What do you use? What is your paper?
It's what special watercolor paper, 100% cotton, and I believe it's made from rags.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah. So for the artists out there who are like, so what does she use? And you use watercolor, you said. So do you have? I mean, do you find the scripture and then paint the? Or vice versa?
It depends. If it's a commissioned painting, sometimes they'll just say, I want a painting with this verse on it.
Okay.
And sometimes they'll say, I want this bird, or sometimes it's very detailed. The most fun is just being given a verse and just go with it. And then I just kind of flip through really quickly, looking at lots of photos of birds, and if it jumps out at me quickly, I know that I'm getting close.
So here's your February 2023. In my distress,
favorite went out of this calendar.
Well, see, that was the Lord. In my distress, I cried unto the Lord, and He answered me. Psalm 120, verse 1. So your handwriting is very distinct. Have you?
That came from doing my dad's journals. Those every day. I didn't have that. I call it my font. It developed. And if you see the very first paintings, they're a little bit more angular.
Yes, like on your card.
Yes, yeah. And now but it developed until it stuck, and it actually completely changed my handwriting.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
So, and again, here we are moving on to April. It's coming soon. The Lord is my strength of my life, of whom shall I be afraid? Psalm 27:1. So how long does it take you? So the logical side of me here is like for you to paint. Yeah, to paint.
It takes more time for me to find out what I'm going to find the inspiration than it is to actually paint it. But between 6, 8, 10 hours, depending on how complicated.
So then, and then obviously you have some place where you get them printed, and then you're able to sell them online.
Yeah, multiple places. I just find where I can get it the best.
Yeah.
The best.
So you have a framed piece. Why don't you hold that up here so our viewers can see the framed piece. I will instruct you and teach you which path you should take. I will guide you and watch over you. Psalm 32:8. Oh, that's beautiful, Shawna. So is there a particular version of the Bible that you like?
Well, NLT has always been my favorite, but I'm kind of steering back to King James, just because it's just a little more accurate. But I do love the feel of the NLT.
Yes, the NLT, yeah.
But having said that, that brings up a point.
Yeah.
I can't just use a translation because translations are copyrighted.
Oh, right.
So you might find a word here and there, but I spend a lot of time praying, looking at the original, and
knowing what to do
to make sure that it is accurate.
Yes, yes.
But word for word, I can't use another translation.
Well, Shawna, God has given you and gifted you with not only an idea, but also with a gift. And thank you for sharing here. And your website is shawnawrightart.com.
That's right.
ShawnawRight art.com.
Yes.
Well, may the Lord bless you as you continue to share and as it goes out and other people can share. So God bless you. And thank you so much for watching here at Valley Viewpoint. And I would encourage you, take the opportunity to share a Bible verse with someone. Only God knows what it can do to brighten their life and to be a blessing. And Shawna's doing that here in our valley as she shares Jesus through her birds and her Bible verses. May the Lord bless you today, and thank you for watching Valley Viewpoint.